Alright, so this is branding widgets for your website with PureConnect. Everyone's in the right place. Awesome. Alright. My name is Drew Dyer. I'm a senior software engineer on the PureConnect web apps team. And today we are going to talk about branding your widgets, but before we do that, I'm going to talk about configuring and deploying widgets in PureConnect, in case you haven't even done that yet. And then I'm going to go into creating a custom theme for the widgets. And then I'm going to talk about the two different methods for deploying that theme. And then I'm going to spend a little bit of time talking about custom registration forms for web chats and callbacks. And then we'll answer some questions. So I'm going to start with a demo of deploying widgets. But first, here's a little demo website. Not the greatest thing in the world, but I've seen worse. And right now, if a customer wanted to chat with an agent, well, they can't do that. So what we're going to do is add a Web Chat Widget so customers can chat. So to do that, we're going to log into Connect with our super secure password and horribly named user. And you're going to add the widgets administration view. There we go. And hopefully that new button works. And you can name your widgets whatever you want. In fact, you can have as many different configurations as you want. So if you need a different configuration on a different page, then by all means you can do that. Create it. And then to get started, you'll notice that the Save button at the bottom's disabled. That's because we've got some basic configuration that we've got to go through first. And to start out, you have to have your IC server name in the IC server hosting box, but you're also going to want to add any off-server session managers that your chat might be routed through. You will probably also need to add a reverse proxy if you want to be able to access your server, or sometimes you'll need it if for switchovers, because for whatever reason, sometimes you don't have it, then your session fails. If you're on PureConnect Cloud or PureConnect Hosted, you'll want to enable this and enter the URL that you've been provided. And whether you need your configuration to go over HTTPS or if HTTP is fine, I'm actually going to turn it off for this presentation. And debug mode. This is useful when you're testing at first before you deploy to production. It adds a lot of information into the console so you can try to debug any issues that you might have. And then you have two options for the theme, dark and light. And the point of this is we're going to talk about extending those and to make it more useful for your site. Got the fallback language. If widgets can't detect what region or language that your customer wants, then this is what it's going to default to. So for us, obviously we're going to want English, but if you're in France, maybe you want French. The internationalization file path, by default, we provide translations for all of these languages. But if you wanted to change those translations, or if you needed another language, you would add it. You would have to create your own JSON file and put a path to it there. The custom style sheet ID, we are actually going to use here in a few minutes, but this can be set to anything. We just default to Genesis Widgets custom. And what this value does is it looks for a style tag with an ID of that on your page, and when Widgets loads, it's going to move it to the bottom of the page so that any overrides you provide there will take effect. The download Google font. By default, we use the Roboto font, which is provided by Google. If you already have that font on your website, or if you want to change the font to something else, you're going to want to turn that off. And then mobile mode and mobile breakpoint are for if you want to create a mobile website and you need widgets that take up less real estate. So you have options of false, so this is going to be for a desktop site. True, it's always going to go into that reduced state, or auto. And when it's on auto, it's going to look at the value provided in that mobile mode breakpoint, and if the screen real estate is less than whatever that number is in pixels, then it's going to go to the mobile mode, otherwise it'll do the desktop mode. Next, we're going to look at the plugins tab. This is actually why that save button is disabled, and I want to apologize for this being in the state that it's in right now. It's something I want to work on, but the reason your save button is disabled is because it thinks that all these widgets are to be configured, and there's just values that aren't there. So, but for the purpose of this presentation, I'm going to turn off everything but the web chat, and we can go through this just a little bit. By default, Genesis offers 3 different emojis for the customer. It's not a lot, but if you want to allow the customers to use that emoji picker, then you would leave this on. Your proactive enabled, that is going to provide a proactive chat offer for the customer, which would be offered after 7 seconds by default. If you want it to take longer, then you increase the proactive idle timer. And then the cancel timer is the number of seconds until that offer just disappears if the customer doesn't interact with it. Both those values are configurable to whatever you want, but just remember those are in seconds. Chat button enabled. Web chats out of the box has its own button that will appear on your website so that you don't have to configure the sidebar. If you did decide to add some other widgets to your page, you'd want to put those in the sidebar, including the web chat, and then just turn this button off. Otherwise, the sidebar is just going to sit on top of it and we'll never find it. The button open delay, that's the number of milliseconds after widgets loads when that chat button is going to appear if you have it enabled. And the effect duration is how long the animation lasts for when the button turns on and becomes visible. So if you wanted it to be like really long animation, you can play with that. But those are both in milliseconds. Don't ask me why one's in seconds and one's in milliseconds. You can also tell it to hide that chat button when an invite is on the page. Otherwise, I'm actually not sure if another chat will appear or if it'll just do nothing. So you guys can play with that. And then here's what it's really waiting for, our target queue. By default, we're going to go to a worker queue, but you can select any other queue if you really want to. Maybe you have one guy who's going to answer all your web chat questions and you just send it to that user instead of the worker. But I'm going to go ahead and put in this horribly named work group. and save this. And then you'll notice that it says that, hey, a critical property has changed. You need to copy the script and put it on your site. So basically, anything in this section right here, if you change any of those values, then your script tag is going to change. So keep that in mind. That script tag you're going to have to put on every single page of your site. More power to you if you only have a single page site. So I've copied that script tag, and we're going to go ahead and put it on our website. And save. Oops, it's here somewhere. And let's reload the site. And here we have a chat widget. And at risk of ridicule, I'm going to go ahead and start a chat. And go back here and pick that up. So, yes, this is a horrible chat window, and I'm hoping very soon that that's going to be updated. But here you go. Our web chat, it works. We can talk to the agent, and the agent can talk to the customer. There we go. So that's deploying the simple widget. So let's move on to creating a custom theme. If you notice, this black widget really does not match what's going on with our website. We can do better. So let's talk about creating a custom theme for a minute. As a starting point, I would encourage you to check out the PureEngage widgets documentation. They provide a lot more information about dealing specifically with widgets, but this link will take you to a section specifically about theming. And it talks about what you can do and what you should try to avoid. But basically, if you want to change any colors, the background, the font, the border colors, or any non-structural properties, feel free. You can change those all you want. But you should avoid trying to change any of the heights, the widths, the thicknesses, sizes, trying to hide elements within a widget, or anything else that would change the structure. Because when we make another release, there's no guarantee that those changes you made are going to work, and things can get pretty ugly. Customizations can also be in general for all widgets on your page, or you can target a specific widget if you wanted one of them to just be different than everything else. I'm not going to judge. And something else to point out, the two themes that we provide out of the box, the light and dark theme, you can download less files that contain those specific overrides from that site. And like I said, use those as a starting point. It just makes life easier. And let's go ahead and start taking a look at it. So here, here is the less file for the light theme. And I'm just going to make a couple changes here and show you how to get them deployed to just make widgets just look a little better with this particular site. You probably are going to want to go a little more in depth than what I'm doing, but this is just a good starting point to show you where to go. So I'm just going to tweak a couple colors here. just telling you what I'm doing. So let me back up for a second. Let me talk about why we're using less. And less allows you to specify all these variables at the top of your file. And then you can use these variables throughout your CSS. So really, if you just want to change one thing and it affects multiple things, that's what this is good for. You would just set that one variable and then just change it once, and it would change everywhere across the board where that variable is used. So right here, these values are for the primary button, which is that submit button on the registration form. Out of the box, it's a lovely blue color, which has no place on this website. So we're going to make it match other buttons on our page. Also, I'm going to show you. If you were to use the light theme, which I should have done to begin with. I'll show you that. Here's the light theme. Notice this icon. It's a beautiful orange that I call Genesis orange.
No, you don't see it on the screen.
You can't see that on the screen. That is terrible. How's that? There you go. All right. Yeah, this icon is Genesis orange. It's great for my company's website. Probably not yours. Definitely not this one. So I want to change that icon to this new color. I'm also going to change a couple of the borders because it's just going to look funky having a blue border around a green button. So, and this outline color. I'm also going to change the text color. I think I know where things were on my page. If you notice, like, the first name, last name, everything on this field doesn't really match any of the other text on our page, so let's just go ahead and make it match. Wow, that was terrible. You'd think I'd have all this where you could just copy and paste. And then I'm also going to add another border color. There's one thing that I just want a different color, and I don't want to change it everywhere else that it's used. And then let's copy this and go down to where we want to change it, which is the CX button default border color. And then I'm going to save it. So, before we go any further, if you're using less, which we encourage, you're going to have to convert that file to CSS when you're done, because websites don't know how to load less, they want CSS. I tried this link that they have in the download template. Last week it didn't work. So you might have to find a different tool. For me, I have an extension in Visual Studio Code that's just going to automatically convert it. For Interaction Connect, we have a tool in our build pipeline. So if you guys already have tools for that, great. Otherwise, there's stuff all over the internet. You can find something. But so now it's generated the CSS that we can put on our page. Which now leads into deploying that theme onto your website. So, as I mentioned earlier, there are two different methods for doing that. You can use the custom style tag, which I mentioned earlier. What you'll do is add a style tag to the page with an ID of whatever is set in that overrides ID that we saw in the configuration. Downfalls to this, if you have multiple pages on your site, you're going to have to copy this thing onto every page. And then if you have changes to make, you have to change every single page. The other option is you can create your own theme and register and select that. And then you can just link to your CSS file, and any changes you make will change across the board. And I will talk about registering that in a few moments, but first I want to show the custom style tag method. So to do that, we are going to copy all the CSS that we just made. We're going to go to our page, and we're going to add, we're not adding a link, we are adding a style. Just do there. Style with an ID of Genesis Widgets Custom. And we're going to paste all that in. Beautify that a little bit. Save it. And still don't know where my website is. So hopefully that shows up on that projector, but here you can see we've changed the text color to match the rest of the text on our page. We've changed that icon to be the same color as everything else. Our primary button is now the same color as these other buttons. So this just works a little better with this website. Nothing against what's out of the box, but yeah. Alright, so that is the style tag method. Next, I'm going to show you the registration method, which, like I said, will be a little easier on you if you have multiple pages. So let's get rid of that. And let's paste our CSS into a CSS file. Actually, no, we can't do that. If you'll notice, everything in the CSS file has the class CX widget, CX theme light. That tells, so when you specify a specific theme for widgets to load, it's going to tell widgets, hey, apply any of these stylings that have CX widget, CX theme, whatever you specified. So we need to change this. And the beauty of using less, I only have to change it in one spot. I'm just going to call my theme Universal Insurance, because that's our website. Save that. And now we're going to paste it into our CSS file that I have posted. Next, we're going to add a link to that CSS file. So that's putting the CSS file in our website, but right now it's not going to do anything because we have not registered our theme or told widgets to use that theme. So to do that, we're going to go back to Interaction Connect, and we're going to use this custom JSON box because our theme's not listed here, and at this point in time, we can't add any new themes to this list. That's something I'd like to see changed in the future. Hopefully, we'll be able to do that. And actually, I'm not going to make you watch me type this. I do have it. All right, so what this snippet shows, and let me go back here where you can actually read it, hopefully. That custom JSON box obviously takes JSON values, and what we're telling it to do is go into the main configuration and setting the theme to the theme that we just created called Universal Insurance. And we're going to register that theme in this themes object. And we give it the key of Universal Insurance, and we set the value to CX theme Universal Insurance, which matches what we have in our CSS. Hopefully I explained that well and did not confuse anybody. So, back to Interaction Connect. We're going to say, and if we did everything right, the widget's going to look exactly the same. But you saw me take that style tag off, so I'm not trying to cheat here. Hey, that does not look right. Funny how that happens.
You don't have to update the script code?
We don't have to update the script code because that's one of the things that does not affect it. It's just that connection information.
I think it was the paste into your custom CSS. I don't think paste it went into the custom CSS out there in the file itself.
Yes, you're right. Thank you. That could have been embarrassing. Copy that. Copy that. And paste. Let's try this again. All right, now this is embarrassing. Give me 1 second. Just make sure this is right. All right, well, I promise you if you don't have typos, it does work. You probably have something messed up in here. It worked this morning, I promise. All right. Why aren't you working? Anyway, let's move on so I don't bore you with that. Customer registration forms. So if you're using the Web Chat widget or the Callback widget, you get a stock registration form, which probably works. But if you wanted to change any of those fields, you can do that. The custom forms are defined in that custom JSON box, so hopefully we type it in correctly this time. And just to note, on web chats, the first name and last name fields are required. So if you remove those, you're not going to create a chat. And for callbacks, obviously the phone number is required. Otherwise, where are they going to reach you? I want to encourage you to check out the custom form documentation on the Genesis PureEngage widget site. It covers pretty much everything that you possibly want to know about changing that registration form. Actually, probably more than you want to know, because unfortunately there are some limitations. At this point, we can't specify a validation function for any of those fields, because adding a function is not technically JSON, and our JSON parser won't allow it. So look out in the future, we should have something fixing that. And any custom fields you add, right now they're not being sent to the IC server. I've got some ideas on ways that we can fix that, but as of right now, you can't. So you might want to check out our session on widget extensions, because if you need those fields sent to the server now, you'll have to write your own extension. But let me go into a demo of changing those fields for if you feel so inclined to change. And I'm not going to make you watch me type anymore. I already have our form configured. And what we have is the first name, the last name, which you said were required. We're still going to collect the email address. But I've changed the subject field from a text box where the customer can put in whatever they want. And I've turned it into a select box and provided just a couple options that an insurance website may have. So let's go ahead and get that on the page. And one day copy and paste will work for me. Okay, it saves. Sorry about this. All right, so here's our new form. First name, last name, email, and here you have the subject as a select box where you can select an option rather than letting the user type in whatever they want. So that is the basics of updating forms. Like I said, there's a lot more on the documentation site, just not PureConnect documentation. You have to go to the PureEngage documentation. Another thing we're working on. So with that, are there any questions?
The limitation about the data not being sent to the CIC server, is that regarded as a limitation, or is it
So when we first started Widgets, our goal was to just get everything to be in feature parity with IWT, Interaction Web Tools, and out of the box, we don't collect that information. So as things progress, we just have not had a chance to go back and add that in.
Just to be clear, the way you do that is through custom extensions right now. So there is a way to do it. It's just it's not built into the GUI right now, or you could get that sent through. So if you write a custom extension right now, I'll send that data in, and then you guys have a chance, the next session, there's a session on Widgets extension that Chris is back there kind of talk about that. So that's how you can provide that functionality right now.
Sure, but is there any work being conducted right now to actually get there with the involved?
It hasn't been started yet, but we definitely have plans to tighten up the user interface for that. We want to make more of a widgets builder where you can do all the configuration, all the theming, all the customization all from a single website. We're just not there yet, but that's definitely in the planning stages right now.
If there's any thoughts of branding the live chat, like with a company logo that meets a certain pixel height, length, and whatnot.
So right now you could technically do it. Like if you wanted to get rid of that icon that we have, like this chat icon, and you wanted to put your own icon. It's not technically supported, but there's nothing stopping you from doing it. You would just need to find whatever that CSS class is and change the background to a URL containing your logo. You just want to double check to make sure that it doesn't like blow up out of proportion and look terrible. Hold on one second. I think you had a question first.
Does the support parsing information from the current URL to custom info, like IDP does? Or would that require a custom widget as well?
It would require some extension as well.
Request a transcript.
So if the customer provides an email address, that should be sending the transcript.
As is just doing previous questions, we certain parameter names, picked it up, central that via the recorder.
Chris, do you?
Yeah, so so long as you have mail post set up on the PureConnect server, by providing a transcript email address there, it'll actually go out through the SMTP that's set up on PureConnect through the server. So if you don't have something set up there, then it wouldn't go out. But if you do, then it would go out. So it works the same way that the way the IDT processes transcript email addresses.
If you want to change the sender address, it goes out, I presume, with the default. Connect.
If you want to change the sender's address.
Anything that was, so I know that anything that's available for IDT in terms of like parameters, things like that, those are also available. That might be an option either through post or otherwise. We don't have any restrictions that are there. I know there was a wide breadth of parameters that were available for customization through IDT. Those haven't been, those also apply.
The way to pass over this form, because if you're already logged on the web server, we don't know our customers, but again, that they pass through the form and gather to the chat to contact information.
You need to use a custom extension, but you definitely could do that. Through a custom extension through here, which is something I'll get into in my next session, you can easily do about anything you want. Out of the box, things are pretty locked into what you have, but with the way that things are set up with widgets, which I'll go into, the things like you're describing, those are all very possible things.
So, quick question. We've been doing some testing with a customer where they have the chat widget available on multiple pages within their site.
Mm-hmm.
So, for instance, a knowledge base article might have, because it's kind of defaulting downstream. So, their customer comes on the main site, requests a chat, a URL is pushed back to the customer through the chat, and when they launch into that second URL, they've got two active chat windows.
Oh, because it's opening in a separate tab?
Right, and the input from the agent seems to be somewhat random. We're not sure if it's by focus, but it's not. There doesn't appear to be like a session awareness that that might exist with an autonomous window, for instance, for chat versus embedded. And that's our latest big challenge with one of our customers, is trying to figure out how to manage that. And I think support responded just plainly that that's not supported, which obviously it's not, 'cause it doesn't work.
Right.
But the question would be, how short of doubling up everything you're doing and having non-chat URLs everywhere. I mean, I don't know if there's, so in the old chat, you had like that autonomous chat window, right?
Right.
So there was always that permanent session that was separate from tabs and browser sessions.
Right.
Which of course you lose here. So is that something that's been considered or talked about, or?
I wasn't actually aware that it was an issue. Because
I think that should be one pretty clearly. So the thing is that whenever Web Chat is going to the server, find some information into the bucket. So any new updates that come in there is dropped into the bucket. So the first one to ask for it is going to get that information, and the bucket's gone. This means you're going to have one window that has some update, but the other window doesn't have that update. So now you're going to be out of sync.
Right.
One of the best ways to sort of manage that with what we have in now, in my opinion, is to try to structure that in such a way that either a frame or some sort of layer where that's done in such a way to where you just have a single one. I know that might not be the easiest route, but if you have multiple of those tabs open and they're both reaching out like that, that's going to be a tough one to manage, because they're both going to be trying to get those updates, and whoever gets it first is going to win.
Right. Right.
Now, the caveat to that is with bots, and from bot transfer to an agent, because in that case, it actually pushes those updates out to clients through a WebSocket.
Okay.
And that's just some newer features that we have. In that case, all the clients will always have the update. That's just not something we support for non-bot scenarios at the moment. It's just one of our newer cloud sort of things we have. That's just one caveat.
But I guess the ultimate challenge is embedding the chat window in a page that can't reverse tabs, right? I mean, that's the ultimate challenge, because having all the tabs have the same updates is better than not, but I'm not sure that's still a viable solution.
You could probably write a custom extension that might do something like a service worker or a web worker, or something like that, possibly to do it. It'd have to be something custom. I can talk to you about it after at some point as well, when we're going to discuss the other items.
That is good feedback. I could definitely see the use case there, so we'll take that back and think about
Or
that.
either that or the option of having it kind of pop out in its own session.
Right.
So it's not tab dependent or browser session dependent, right?
Yeah.
Similar to the old style chat. So anyway, that was a kind of a big snag for us in some testing with customers. So
Okay.
Thank you, that's good feedback. Do we have any other questions? Yeah.
Not necessarily about customizing, but I haven't had a chance to really look at this. Is scheduling done the same way with this as it is an IWT? For your customer tree, if it's in a work group, or is it done differently?
Are you talking about running context?
I'm talking about applying like open hours, closed hours, schedules
Yeah.
to that. Is it still the same way customer trees on a work group, or not?
I'm not sure how that was decorated, to be honest. So I can't, I'm not sure about that. I don't believe that we have any sort of scheduling out of the box right now.
Is there more than 24 hours a day?
Yeah, there's different ways that people have been going about managing that at the moment. It's definitely something that part of management is aware of. I totally get what you're saying. You want a way to turn it off. There might be ways to turn it off that was added in connect. I know that we have toggles on there now, but
Yeah, so it's probably not the greatest solution, but you could just turn off the web chat widget during closed hours, which you don't want to do.
I think agencies that already do that, hide or display the button in various hours and days. Thinking about scheduling, it's nice to have that fallback in case somehow someone has the URL to get directed to it.
Right.
there's always ways to do it. It's just there's not a way out of the box probably where you can set a toggle. But if you were already using like custom attributes or you were probably already doing something of that nature. And there's always a way to handle it. There's always a way to do something that could easily turn it on and off.
I was just wondering because you said the goal is feature parity, and that was a feature of IWT.
Okay.
So for something all the on-home messaging and so forth, it's gone so through attributes. So
Sorry, I that question.
on-home messaging in queue messaging while on chat, that was also controlled either through global attribute or through a workgroup attribute or whatever. Is that all gone as well through identity? That all gone, is it?
Chris, do you know the answer to that one?
What was the question?
This is around the same around custom attributes again on the workgroup or on the global settings where you can control not only scheduling but also on-hold messaging, in-queue messaging, wait time, position in the queue, all of that.
So you're talking about statistics?
No,
the
just
messaging would have been-
like whatever the message is.
Like messages, yeah, you get that.
Like when you join a chat and you have to wait for an agent, it's like,
Yeah.
hey, you've entered this queue.
Yeah, so, I mean, I hear what you're saying. I know that on our callbacks we had sort of some of those messaging, sort of those statistics that were in the web view. I guess I'm not understanding what the question is.
So if you start a chat and you get the system message, hey,
Right.
you're in this queue waiting for an agent. Like, if you want to change that text.
Yeah, I believe there is a server parameter that you can use that was for IWT that was used there that turned that on and off.
Yes,
You want to
it
do that.
should still work.
I'm pretty sure it did when I
Yeah.
pretty sure.
Anything else? All right. Well, thank you. Hope this was informative for you.